Hey, I'm John Simmons, Media Platform Architect in the Windows Core Operating System Group. I'm going to talk about primarily on the client side, Dash support in Windows 10 and a little bit of the arc, where we've been and where we expect to be going. So maybe, I don't know if a lot of people here know this, but in 2009, we published the protected interoperable file format spec, which was how multi-DRM could be supported inside of a adaptive streaming solution, and that became the common encryption spec. So at that time, we had begun thinking about the sorts of interoperability problems that needed to be overcome in order to have large-scale growth of online video. And I think that everyone in this room is probably aware of the fact we are seeing what Andy Grove would call a strategic inflection point, both for the internet as well as for commercial video delivery. And so the first problem that needed to be solved, the first friction point, was to come up with a common media format for live and on-demand video, and that's where common encryption and Dash are playing a key role. And overcoming that allows for cross-platform interop for commercial video content, but that's only half of the problem. There's also a need for a way to have cross-platform support on the applications. That's where EME and MSE come into play. A number of people today have talked about the importance of those protocols, but it's also true that there's a lot of work being done based on the W3C manifest for hosted native applications, which allows you to be able to build targeted native applications using HTML5 and JavaScript for Windows, iOS, and Android and other platforms, which is what the Manifold.js project, which is a Microsoft project, enables. Also using Cordova polyfill libraries to be able to fill in the difference between how touch is done on Windows or on Android and so forth. So finally, both of these together allow for there to be a cross-platform media catalog and cross-platform hosted native applications, and we think that's going to be the next generation of how commercial video is delivered in an age past Flash and Silverlight, where a number of people have talked about this importance of this. We think this is going to become very important in the years to come. So let's talk a little bit about Windows 10. Basically, Windows 10 supports all three of the modes that were envisioned by the W3C Web and TV Interest Group. That was the organization that spun up the MSE EME work prior to that being accepted by the HTML working group as a direction to take commercial video in W3C. Type 3 is what everyone here has been talking about. That's what MSE enables. That's what Dash.js does. Type 1 is what Safari has long supported with HLS, where you just pass the manifest to the video tag, and that's supported in Windows 10 along with Type 3. And we also have implemented a bit of Type 2, which was in the Web and TV Interest Group. It was, well, it's something between Type 1 and Type 3, which basically just means that the heuristics and the adaptive streaming work is being done by the platform for you, but you still have some controls. In Windows 10, it's things like you can set the window that's used for figuring out the network throughput, or you can also set the minimum and maximum bit rates independent of what the actual MPD is saying. You can also capture certain resource requests and replace those from your application. So all three of these are supported, but it's our core intent to make sure that the support in a native Dash playback inside of Windows will always stay interoperable with what Dash.js is enabling. In other words, we don't want a Type 3 implementation to behave differently than a Type 1 or a Type 2. As I mentioned before, the ability to build hosted native apps is really important, and with Windows 10, we added a new feature which allows you to take your HTML5 JavaScript code and package it as a universal Windows platform app. So it's a native application, but it's using the HTML5 JavaScript that's on your server, but it's giving you access through JavaScript to the entire WinRT API set. So you can do live tiles, you can do voice integration, all of that from a completely interoperable HTML5 JavaScript platform. And again, that's in combination with this Manifold JS project, which I mentioned, that is using the web and the web app standard for a manifest that W3C's come up with. So you can go to the Manifold JS and point to your HTML5 JavaScript and say, okay, I want to build a Windows native application based on that. I also want to build an Android application. I want to build a iOS application. We think this is the direction that the industry is going to go, because then it gives you that. This is what Silverlight and Flash were striving for, and we think this is going to be the more natural way to accomplish that. So I want to talk a little bit about Windows 10 and where this arc is going. It's just a concluding thought. When we published the PIF spec, we were trying to think of the list of technologies that would enable interoperable commercial video delivery. We had envisioned at that time, 6 years ago, extensions to HTML, a Dash standard. Of course, we didn't call it Dash then. All of these things were on our roadmap, and Windows 10 is just the latest step in the implementation of commercial video extensions, which many more to come. And just as a point of fact, Windows 10 is less than 2 months old. In August 28th, there were already 25 million devices worldwide in 192 countries running Windows 10. So we believe that this is going to become an important platform for commercial video consumption, not just on tablets, but across the ecosystem. Thank you very much.